won't stop till killer cops or cell blocks can't stop.
The following newly released video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No.
This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz. In a newly released video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one. Concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents,
I suggest you back the fuck up. No.
It is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, Abdul Salam, July 1st, 2013. Here Salam is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced, this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly. Picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog-tie me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit his knee against my neck. I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to Daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, Darrell Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, I said, what's wrong with it? There's no such thing as improper way. I know the law. I know the law. I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration? To profile, I use the seatbelt as a reason to profile.
Do me a favor, take out your keys.
Thank you for what? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. What do you call the supervisor? I want to do shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now. Yeah?
And we are 2 law-abiding citizens that we're getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardez Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered on July 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 to 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they can never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight.
Mic check, mic check. This is West Wednesday, number 416. We are fighting for justice for Tyrone West, who was murdered by the Baltimore police, and for all victims of police violence. Mic check, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. So thank you, Brother Ben. I'm trying to straighten out my thing. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Brother Ben, for that. And we have been fighting for a very long time, 416 weeks to be exact. And we're approaching 8 years as of this Sunday, which was a horrible day that changed my family's life forever. July the 18th, 2013, changed my family's life forever. And that's the reason why I don't have any special guests. I was gonna have Sandra Bland's sister on as well, because she unfortunately just came up with her commemoration of her sister, Sandra Bland, say her name. We just came up with her commemoration of her brutal murder, you know, and it's horrible. And I didn't want to overwhelm her, so, you know, I was just sending prayers and thoughts for her. And I want you guys to send prayers and thoughts as well. Also to Alton Sterling's auntie, I want you to send to his whole entire family, because we're coming up on Alton Sterling. He just had a commemoration as well. It's just horrible. And then for all of our loved ones, whether it was in this month, next month, you know, months ago, whenever you come up on that horrible date, because I can't dare call it an anniversary, because to me an anniversary is something that's celebrated, things like that. So whenever we come up to the commemoration of our loved ones being executed, it's really hard and trying. And the reason why I really didn't want any special guests today, because I want everybody that can to meet us up at Kentmore and Kelsway this Sunday at 7 p.m. And also, if you can go over to at Herman Park, Shorty Runners for Justice and Shorty. They're doing Arts and Activists. It's going to start 12 noon. It's going to run to 6, and then from 6 after 6, you guys can, like I said, meet me up at Kentmore and Kelsway at 7 p.m. It's just a hard time. So first of all, I want to wrap my arms around my brother's children. I want to wrap my arms around my brother's children, his grandchildren that unfortunately he was never able to embrace, hold, hug, love on, or anything. And it's just horrible. It's really horrible. And I'm just kind of choked up now just thinking about it. You know, every week that we come on, you know, whether we in the streets or just reliving that nightmare of my brother's execution is really hard. But to actually think that I'm gonna have to go back to that spot where my brother was murdered, that is terrible. And I wouldn't wish that kind of pain on anyone. So I'm just thinking about and I have made a whole entire list of all the things that literally my family, my supporters, you guys, we have all done to try to get accountability. And still to this day, we don't have accountability. But the interesting part, finally, because I used to always say 11 to 15 officers that murdered my brother. I've been saying that now for the whole entire 8 years, because we never had an accurate count. Unfortunately, only 9 maniacs admitted to, I threw a haymaker. I cracked them with my baton, this, that, and the third. But now we have an accurate count. There were 17 killers that murdered my brother. And that is horrible. Even though credible eyewitnesses said they seen over 25 people beating my brother. So maybe that 17 might just be, I don't know. But as of now, I do have that accurate number, 17 killers on one unarmed man. That is an attack that no one could have survived. And so as I started out, I'm sending lots of love to my brother's children, his grandchildren. First, I'm sending love to all my aunties and my uncles, all my whole entire family. I'm sending support to them. You know, this is a devastating time. And for me to know, and that's why I'm doing this now, because I might not even have the energy to even talk because my circle is getting smaller as far as my family members that was fighting, or even if they couldn't come to bear to go up to that sick place, but to actually be able to tell me things that they wanted us to say. Unfortunately, my grandmother's not here, and she always wanted accountability for her grandson. Always, always wanted accountability. And her vision, she literally had to go to the grave with her vision of her first grandson, Tyrone West, being murdered. And all she keeps saying, I don't know why she always says this, but all she says is, why did they beat him like that? And why did they put him inside of a seal hole? I don't know where she got that from. I don't know where, but that's her vision. That's how she internalized the beating, the horrible execution of animals that no one just couldn't even stop. Didn't have enough restraint to say, you know what, enough's enough. Let's get this guy medical treatment. No one had enough humanity just to say stop. And as you saw on the video that we play week after week, and I'm praying that it gets to the right person that sees it and really takes this thing seriously. We're not doing this in vain. You know, I feel that one day we will have accountability. I don't know when, but I feel like it's coming. And as long as I'm here, I'm going to always continuously fight. And for my brother, not just my brother. This is not just been a platform just about Tyrone West. And my sister Ishtar Robinson, who said it best when she says every case matters. Literally every case matters, because it doesn't matter if our loved one makes it on the news, national news, in a document. It doesn't matter. Our loved ones' cases matter. It matters to us. It matters to the family members that are lost and left here suffering with more questions than answers and just treated like trash. And then when your world becomes that nightmare, that world that you never asked, this is the family that no one wants to be in, a club that no one signed up for. And literally, like I said, for the ones that were sending well wishes, such as my grandmother, who we just buried not too long ago, my cousin Tavon Anderson, who always would come there. He would always come there. His presence would always be there. And I remember the last time he came, he spoke. He spoke about his cousin. He spoke about his cousin. He spoke about me. And I would never forget that. That will always be in my heart. But my cousin is no longer here. My Uncle Clifton, who you guys met, who always was the jokester of my family, that he said to you guys when we were standing in front of the medical examiner's office doing a West Wednesday, he said, I hope I live long enough to see accountability for my nephew. That's all he wanted. And again, he is gone. No accountability, nothing. And so that made me think, like, literally, for a family, let's talk about for a family that's been out here for day one, never missed a beat. We didn't wait till the second year, the first, and that's okay, because some families be traumatized. So if you waited like years or months, that is fine. You go as you please, what is helpful for you. What is helpful for you, because everybody can't do this. Some days I don't know how I do this, but I feel compelled. But the point of what I'm trying to say, for a family to be out here, for supporters to be out here every single week, town hall meetings, everything, and we're still searching for accountability, that is disgusting. And that's what I wanted to talk about. So I went back and I unpacked, I made a little list of, and I probably didn't even have enough room to put down some of the stuff. These are some of my memories. And if anybody's on here tonight that remember things that we did as the West Coalition, as the West family, to hold these animals accountable, just kind of, embrace me or let me know,
what I missed and things of that nature. But what I want to say to you guys, how we met Abdul Salam, I will never forget, and that was the victim that they said victim number 1 that we know of. Now, mind you, I found out the night my cousin Tavon Anderson was murdered on the 20th. I found out literally pretty much on the 19th. The ACLU came down at 11:30, right? 11:30 at night. Well, 11 o'clock at night, and then it went off at 11:30 after the news went off. But literally, on 11 o'clock news, the ACLU came down with a damning report about all the police misconduct, about all the 3,600 cases of police brutality that this dirty city has, you know. And then the interesting part, why they did that interview with me, and I was on 11 o'clock news, and I got off at 11:30, they asked me, did I know that the killer that played a major role, and that's Killer Ruiz, he's the first killer cop, the one that we're highlighting on this video, even though I want everybody to lay their head. I want all 17 of those stinking animals. Yes, everyone, even the ones we don't call. That's why I got the Bloody Wall of Fame with the 9 up, but I want all of them. And soon I'll be having all 17 of their names onto that list as well, hopefully their faces as well. And it's sad because when you put them out there, they come for you. They came for me. I knew, I was like, oh my God, what they gonna do? And then when I got pulled over yesterday, I'm like, and he's like, you didn't turn the signal. I'm just like, wow, did he come up? I got my body camera. Like, if you pulling me over for some fools and saying that I made a right turn, I'm at the light, I didn't even turn on red. I wait literally till the light turned red. I'm on my way to work. And I could have swore I hit the red. I could have swore I hit the signal, but I turned safely. And then you followed me and stalked me, and then you pulled me over for 25 minutes. And it's like I get pulled over right at that spot, that hot spot, where they know I'm not even a half a mile away from my job. Matter of fact, not even a block away from my job. Let's be real clear. You know, I'm real close to my job, and then they make me wait to be late. So I sat up there and I was 25 minutes late for work yesterday for some foolishness. But anyway, I'm sorry I'm scrambling. But I said all that to say, we knew about the 6 victims, but I learned that we had 18 additional victims. But what I was saying about Abdul Salam was, I'll never forget, we were outside at Northeast Police District, and that was our first time being at Northeast Police District, because literally our first West Wednesday, I'll never forget, we were down at City Hall. And then we decided to go down there, and we need to hold these people accountable. Because they're walking in, telling my family all types of foolishness, ain't nobody giving us nothing. So we went back down to City Hall, and this time we took it a step further, and we walked over to downtown area, and we walked over to the state's attorney's office at the time, Greg Bernstein, who elected to do nothing. You know, his racist self, you know, laughed in my family face after 154 days and told us don't get comfy in our chairs. He wasn't prosecuting anybody. And the reason why was because of the medical examiner's office. He said because the conclusion that I came up with not to indict anybody, he said, with the medical examiner's report, I just got that in my hand, and it's just stating that besides an abrasion on your brother's forehead, there was no signs of a beating. I'm sorry that your brother just passed away. Like, are you freaking kidding me? 17 maniacs was on him. His body looked like a train track with all the baton and steel-toed boots, all that stuff, right? Horrible, horrific. Tasered in his neck 4 times, pepper sprayed to the point 2 canisters, to the point they got on they got on, besides Nicholas Chapman, they got on some of his other partners, the other killers that participated. Some of them even got pepper spray. And that was the only reason, let's be clear, that the ambulance was called to Kentwood, California. It wasn't called because my brother had been tortured in broad daylight, and then handcuffed, thrown on his face, hogtied, and then they let a killer, David Lewis from Morgan State University, was 320 pounds, set with his knee in my brother's back and his foot in my brother's neck until my brother was dead. They beat my brother over 18 minutes. They beat him. It was horrible. It was disgusting. It was horrible. And David Lewis is not the only big size maniac killer. That's why they tried to make it seem like my brother was this real big dude. My brother wasn't even that big. He was the typical size of a young, healthy man. Let's be crystal clear. But you got Derek Beasley that was almost 340 pounds, too. Big stinking animal. Stinking animal. Coward. Wanted to throw a haymaker. You're a coward. Every last one of them that participated are cowards, including the females. Danielle and Latrice Lee, y'all are some freaking cowards. Each and every last one of y'all are cowards. And I wish you guys karma. I wish you guys karma. That's all. I wish you guys karma. I pray for y'all karma every single day. Call me what you want. Call me what you want, but I do. So moving right on. So in the 416 weeks, some of the things that we did, like I said, we met at Blue Salon when we were first at North Beach Police just around the third week. We had signs of all the killers, like on big posters. My Aunt Emma, shout out Aunt Emma, she would make the big posters. Shout out to my Uncle George, he would make the big posters. We had fine posters, and mysteriously, those posters disappeared out my car. Mysteriously. Those posters of all the killers, David Lewis, Derek Beasley, all the killers disappeared out my car. You couldn't make this stuff up, literally, you couldn't. But they disappeared. But anyway, what they did would never disappear. Me going for them, coming for them, will never disappear. So they can take the post, they can do whatever they want to. They cannot take this pain out of my heart. They cannot give me back my brother. And this, unfortunately, has not stopped them from killing our loved ones. They're still killing our loved ones. You met my sister Angela, okay? Her brother Timothy Flemings was executed. You met Shantae, okay? Her brother Timothy Flemings was executed by killer cops right in his home. The list goes on. I could talk forever about all the victims. We met Jamal Taylor, beautiful Mara, the children of his mother. Her chosen father, ex-husband, was executed in Prince George's County. Gunned down, like the list goes on. Greta, Kevin Cooper's mom, yeah, he was killed in front of her, in her face. Darlene, yeah, her son was executed. Marion Gray, her son was executed. Okay, Gary, he was executed. Let's be crystal clear. India Kager, yeah, Gina Beth's daughter, she was executed. Not just her, but the father, her child, and they could have killed her baby that was in the backseat. So these animals, they don't freaking care. The list goes on. Maurice Donald Johnson, he was executed in his mom's face in her home in 2 minutes. They came in, gunned her son down. 2 minutes. And all she called was for a mental crisis, and her baby wound up murdered. So I will never forget. And even sometimes, God forgive me and never judge my heart. Even if I mix up some of the names, I'm sorry, because it's too many names. Unfortunately, it seemed like when my brother was murdered, like I used to be so good with names. Even if I couldn't remember somebody's face, I always knew their name, all of that. But it's like, soon as my brother got killed, I can't even think of people's names now. I'm calling people the wrong names. I'm like, it's something mental going on there, but hey, it is what it is. So that's why I call everybody my warrior sisters, brothers, things of that nature, because I guess it was just so horrific what they did to my brother. It just set my whole mind back. But the things, so let's go to this list. The things that we as the West Coalition, as the West family, that we did, not just me, that we all did, we participated in. I done sat down and I met with the United States Attorney General, Loretta Lynch. Met with her. Did anything change? No. I remember one time I reached out to, this is when Obama was the president, I'll never forget. I sent him an email, a long email, when Greg Bernstein came back with that foolishness and said, I'm not prosecuting anyone that murdered your brother. I said, oh, that gave me some exuberant strength. Y'all trying to lie and make it seem like my brother had all this exuberant strength? Yeah, his sister got exuberant strength. I went and I started doing everything. Like while I'm at work on my lunch break, I'm sending emails, I'm doing everything. I'm hitting up Lottie Dottie and everybody about my brother. So what I did was, I thought it was a needle in a haystack. I sent the president a nice long email, and I'm like, please help my family. My brother was murdered. Ray Bernstein came back with this racist foolishness. Please just help my family. You can Google Tawanda Jones. You can Google Tyrone West. You will see the things we have been out here. This is not right. All we want is accountability, blah, blah, blah. And I'll never forget, months later, I got a letter from the president. I couldn't believe it. I still got the letter from him. He signed it and all, and he said he was going to put me onto the Department of Justice. When I say I felt like Dorothy, the character Dorothy, I felt like I was going down a yellow brick road. I felt like this was key. This was the home run kicker. Oh yeah. Told my family was excited. I cried. I got on my knees. I thanked the Lord and everything. And so nothing, nothing. Like literally, so met with, I'll never forget, Loretta Lynch. I remember they put us in the cars. We had Secret Service people following us for this little low-key meeting. Told them everything that happened. Nothing, nothing. Even met with, I got it on here, the Inspector General, Miss Mercedes. We sat down with her. We're like, you know, what could you do? And she's like, you know, I don't have the power to do this and that. I can only do certain things, but no accountability. Met with even the city solicitor. And I used to call him the Wizard of Oz because he used to act like he had all the power. Everybody kept on referring to the city solicitor. Even when we met down with the mayor, I never forget we met with the mayor, Mayor Catherine Pugh, and she sat us down. And literally, once she sat us down, she pretty much said that, you know, she didn't remember my brother and didn't find, because mind you, she even came to West Wednesday when she was doing a politician thing, was trying to get elected. She came to West Wednesday. I'll never forget, we had her on video. We're like, and she even told me, she's like, I'm so proud of the work you're doing for your brother, my sister. I see what you're doing. She said, if I get elected, I'm going to thorough investigation going. She said, I'm so sorry for what happened to Tyrone. And she said, you know, not only am I going to, you know, get people hold people accountable for what they did to your brother, I'm also going to get the city need jobs. Everybody need a $15, you know, I'm going to raise the minimum wages up to $15, all that. And as soon as she got in office, she forgot who Tyrone West was, she forgot who Tawanda Jones was, and she forgot about the $15 minimum wage. She was the first one to veto the $15 minimum wage. And these are the games that we going through. Like, so we done did it all, like literally, not even just that. We also, like I said, sat down personally, had a personal meeting with the DOJ. And when they did the consent decree, and we sat down, talked, it was like, what changes do y'all want? We heard about Tyrone West. And it's funny, everybody, so-called the big leaders or the big heads, everybody heard about Tyrone West. We sorry for your loss. But yet, nobody did anything to help. Like, we never missed a beat, we never missed a date. So why y'all telling me y'all sorry for my loss, but y'all not doing anything? Like, it ain't like we missed, like the statute. There's no statutation limit on murder. But we're out here from day one. We never missed a beat. How did we miss anything? Like, what part am I missing? I don't get it, but I do. It's just the way the system is. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you fight, if they want to do something, they'll do it. If they don't, it will be pretty much thrown up under the rug. And also, we even met with the NAACP, and I'm thinking like maybe they can help. They're gonna get my brother's name out there. They're gonna do this. They're gonna do that, and nothing. The only thing that the NAACP was able to do, that was to get us the Public Information Act. We were trying to find out what even that was a violation, because the only thing we found out in that was David Lewis' name, because they were hiding his name. But up the protection, because he was a private police, and you see why we don't need private police in our community? This is why Hopkins did what they did, and I should have had them on the list, because they did the set-in, and that went really well. And one of their demands was justice for Tyrone West, no to ICE, and no to private police. I remember that. And that was real powerful. We had thousands of people on the street marching on our 300 West Lansing. But did that bring us accountability? No, no accountability. So we even, like I said, sat down with Catherine Pugh, nothing. So, I mean, it's really sad. We even met with folks in the medical examiner's office. And I will never forget the time we actually sat down and we met with Pamela Southholm. And she was one of the ones that actually worked on my brother's body, examined my brother's body with the killers in the room. They had killer cops in the room while she's working on my brother's body, y'all, as well as David Fowler. And they're all together. Have you ever heard of such? Disgusting. Nothing. I remember she kept saying, I'm going to make sure you get accountability for your brother. Because we met with her to say, what's taking the, what's taking so long with this medical examiner's report? Oh, what's coming to Ortiz's report? We're being thorough, we're being transparent, we're doing this, all this. Nothing. Foolishness. So nothing came out of that. Even sat down with the lying detectives that act like they were going to be so transparent, walk my family through the case, do this, do that. They lied from day one. Lied saying my car was on a drug hold, your green Mercedes-Benz, you're never going to get it again. And the same day they came in my family's home lying, my car was impounded. My car was impounded to the lot, accumulating fees, collecting fees. Over $340 to be exact. When you sit up there lying, lies, lies, lies. Shame on you, Detective Delgado. Shame on you. You should be charged with obstruction of justice. A conscious conspiracy to obstruct justice. That's what you did. And I'm coming for you too. It's disgusting. It's horrible. Like, how can you sit down and you talk this, I'm a family, I got a wife, I got children, and you seem like you was a cool detective. You were a liar. A liar. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on all of y'all. And the list goes on. So even in my brother's case, we done met with like all the politicians. I call them politicians. We sat down with all of them. And I'll never forget, they even started a resolution hearing. The first one ever from somebody dying in custody police. In custody death. And police restraint, as they call it. But that was the first resolution hearing that we have ever heard of. And it was at City Hall, and we come on the mayor's channel, and we did this thing for a whole year. And the conclusion, I'll never forget, the conclusion of the meeting was to ask Marilyn Mosley to reinvestigate and reopen my brother's case. And she never responded, nothing. And it had not been until I met Ryan Dorsey, let's be crystal clear, met Ryan Dorsey. As soon as I met Ryan Dorsey, he was not really in office. Let's be clear, he didn't do anything for no political gain or nothing. He did it from his heart. Like the things that Ryan Dorsey does, literally, that I can see, is from his heart. And he's unfiltered, like right is right and wrong is wrong. He's a grown man, and that's how he carries himself, like a grown man. And he literally, before I even got a chance to meet him, he said, you know what, I need to set up a meeting. I could be the mediator and see why we can't get accountability for the West family. And I'm like, yeah, oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm like, yes, great, set down, I'm gonna give her, because she always said if I brought her new evidence, that she would be willing to reopen my brother's case. That's why I'm not asking you to bend no rules, lie for me or nothing. Do your job. That's what I was asking you to do. That's what the West family, the West Coalition was asking you to do, nothing else. And she met with me, but the games started then. Because literally, Ryan Dorsey set the meeting up, and I'll never forget. He set it up, he was supposed to be the mediator, so it's supposed to be Ryan, myself, the state's attorney, and I didn't know who else she was gonna bring. But Lord knows, when I got to the meeting, I didn't see Ryan Dorsey. They had him downstairs in a holding cell. But yet, they had me up in a room with the state's attorney, Marilyn Mosley, and I think it was Jane Belezzo, and it was, I can't think of the Stacy. Her name was Stacy. I can't think of the last name. Stacy Noellen. So we're all there. And they're like, oh, I just want to let you know, Ryan. I'm like, is Ryan running late? Because I didn't know what time he was going to show up or wasn't going to show up. And sure enough, Ryan, they're like, Ryan, I'm sorry. I wouldn't, she hurt, Marilyn Mosley pretty much said, I'm not gonna let him exploit your family. She was like, you know, they tried to exploit Freddie Gray family for their own game. I'm not gonna let him use the family. I'm like, what are you talking about? She said he was just so, he'll put something on Twitter that was disturbing to me, and I didn't, you know, I apologize, but I didn't want him exploiting your family. And I'm like, what could Ryan Dorsey have put on Twitter that could have exploited my family when he the one who set the meeting up? Long story short, I give her all the information that's still sitting on her desk, and then people wonder why I don't trust giving people anything, because I never got a response back. I never got a okay, yay, no, nothing back. Just left me and my family on hold. Left us completely on hold. And as if that wasn't enough, I'll never forget going down in that elevator, and God is so good that somebody had to get off on the 3rd floor, and in the state's attorney's office they have 2 elevators, one on each side. And as somebody's getting off on the 3rd floor out of my elevator, Ryan Dorsey elevator stopped. And I'll never forget, I see Ryan Dorsey like, Twan, is that you? And I'm like, hey, Ryan, is that you? He's like, yeah. He said, hold up. And we started talking. I'm like, where was you? He was like, they just told me I could come up. So what they tried to do was play the dog and pony show. They left him downstairs until they would have dismissed me, and they would have called him up there with some foolishness. I said, what you talking about? I said, oh, they said that you tried to exploit my family. He said, are you serious? I said, yes. She said she was so ashamed of you, what you did. He's like, only thing I did was just announce that we're getting ready to have a meeting with the West family. Hopefully the West family gets accountability. So how is that exploit my family? Makes no sense. But these are the things that my family literally went through. We even, the West Coalition and many other coalition groups, we got together as of 2020, and finally we got a gag order bill passed. Shout out to the West Coalition, shout out to Runners for Justice, shout out to Not Without Black Women, shout out to Jews for Justice, shout out to back then Councilwoman Sharon Sneed, and at the time our mayor was the city council president that sponsored our bill, and we finally got it passed into legislation stating that you can get your money and talk about your case, but that's still kind of flipsy flopsy because we don't know what can somebody sell. Now it hasn't been like truly cast in stone, but that was another big thing that we actually as a West Coalition did. There have been numerous documentaries such as the Charles Barkley piece or so out, but thank God he highlighted my family and we kept it real. We don't sell our souls for nobody. Like my auntie made, like she went virtual. She was like, I know you and I don't like you type of thing, because she didn't like what he said, how he talked bad about police victims. But I was just trying to get my brother's story out there. I wanted a documentary that the same way that R. Kelly got placed in a cell block from a documentary, surviving R. Kelly, what about surviving these killer cops? Why hasn't any of the documentaries, we done been in the Black Lives Matter documentary, I done been on CNN, I done been on the Roland Martin show, let me guess, I done been on a national documentary, correspondence, something that like was aired all over in France and Italy and just everywhere. Like, why haven't that brought us accountability? I don't know. I'm just scratching my head. So we done did also, we done met with the ACLU many times, and they have been, you know, doing an excellent job, you know, to try to help us in whatever way they could. I even testified to the UN, to the United Nations, and I told them, we were talking about human rights, and I told them how our human rights were violated. I told them, and they documented, they took clear documentation of all the abuse that my brother endured, and not just him. I invited all the other families in Baltimore City to come join and give their testimonial too, and still, all the reports, no accountability. Even recently this year, testified in front of the Board of Commissioners on a national level, spoke to the whole Board of Commissioners to see why all this police brutality, police terrorism is happening to brown and black men and women. And that was real big. Like Tamir Rice's family was on there, You know, just so many sad families that's fighting for accountability. Tamir Rice was a baby, literally a baby, a 12-year-old in a playground. A baby in a playground doing the most sacred thing, playing, and he's gunned down in 2 seconds. No question asked. So I said all this to say, like, the list goes on. But again, we are still fighting for accountability. We're still fighting for accountability. I've been in so many, I done been in the Baltimore Magazine, I done been in the Afro, I done been in the New York Times 3 times or more. I done been on PBS, I done been in the Sun newspaper numerous times, City Paper, like the list goes on. But again, we are still fighting for accountability. And the day that I receive that, and I can give that news to my family, that will be a day of celebration. That will be a day of celebration. And it's sad because if we celebrate, my brother won't be there to enjoy it. But that would be a big day that we can actually, and when I say celebration, let's be clear, I don't mean I'm going to go and have some wine and we're going to party, because it's nothing to party about when your loved one is murdered and your loved one is not able to be there in your safe space. Nothing to celebrate. But when we get accountability, hopefully I can start grieving. Hopefully I can start breathing again, because I haven't. And these whole entire 8 years, I have not been able to breathe. I have not. And that's why it comes out in spurts. That's why I can't sleep at night. And I thought literally after the first year, I thought it would get better, and it's getting worse. It really is. It really is. It's just sad. And I wouldn't wish this type of pain on anyone. But it is sad. So I'm just asking you guys to keep us in prayer, to keep us in thoughts. And this fight is far from over. But what I don't want to be, and I give it out to Miss Dorothy Elliott, I give it out. Her son, Archie Elliott, was murdered in like 1993, the 90s. And this woman, this beautiful queen, this wife of a judge, y'all, her baby was executed in the front seat of a killer cop's car, executed. You would have thought that would have been an open and shut case, right? No accountability. And she's still fighting 20, 30 years later. I don't want to fight that long. I want to keep on fighting, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to fight that same fight. Why should it take 20, 30 years to give us what we need? They do this for a reason. They want the witnesses to die off. We still don't have the video footage, y'all. It is video footage, and I urge, and I'm going to keep on urging. And if anybody that joins us on Sunday, this Sunday, either the West Coalition members, if maybe y'all can knock on somebody's door and direct them to give me a call or email or something. We need that video, guys, and it's sad. It is so sad. We are a people that until we see a black man or woman or child die on video, why should we have to see a whole video of somebody getting murdered when you have credible eyewitnesses that said he was beat from one side of the street to the other? They didn't know my brother. You saw on the video we just showed you, that we show you guys every week, right, when we're online. Darrell Harris, 24 hours before my brother was murdered, I was already sick and wanted to vomit when I knew about July the 1st or 2nd, when Abdul was almost killed in his driveway with his baby in that same neighborhood. I guess who started the attack? Ruiz and Killer Chad. But I was so sick when I found out about that, and his baby was in the back seat of that car. But when I learned about Darrell Harris, I was beyond sick. I'm like 24 hours before, are you serious? So Ruiz and Chapman were waiting. It's almost like a loose dog, an animal, a vicious animal that's waiting, biting, and got that taste of blood. They're not going to finish until they get that taste of blood. They had that taste of blood of Abdul. They had that taste of blood of Darrell, and that wasn't enough. And who knows in between that? Who knows the other victims between that? Because when we went up on Kells Way, believe you me, they said that the big white tall cop, talking about Chapman, they said he's known for stalking guys around here, beating them up and doing all type of stuff. And he said that they always call Ruiz the big black one. They said the big black one, Ruiz, yeah, they said he's known for doing that. So, and they was telling me about it. I never found the teenager. They said it was a teenager that they attacked and beat up real bad around that neighborhood. So I said all this to say, why are these maniacs still working? And as if that wasn't enough, why is Ruiz a sergeant now, y'all? He's a sergeant, he got a big promotion. Literally, after they murdered my brother, pay raise. I wouldn't even call it a pay raise, it was a big spike of pay. You go from maybe being $50,000 a year to literally $150,000 the next year. Like, are you kidding me? That's more than a pay raise. What did you get all that extra monetary money? Oh, wasn't for killing Tyrone West? Oh, wasn't for abusing Abdul and Darrell? Oh yeah. Wasn't for when you maniacs went in Adina's house and terrorized her and her family? Oh yeah. And the 18 victims that were able to file a complaint? Oh yeah. That's what he got a promotion for. Him and Chapman, both of them. Both of them got promotions and big pay raises. While my family literally was searching for answers and burying our loved one with no death certificate, nothing, these animals were protected by the Officer Bill of Rights that allowed them back at that time. They said 10 days before they even gave a statement, but that wasn't even true because them jokers went down there 60 days later. And to this day, it's 2 or 3 that didn't even ever go down there and give their statement. I wonder what they would have said, what they wouldn't have said. I wonder. One can only wonder. But then they knocked the Officer Bill of Rights down to 5 days. Like, they need to dismantle it completely. It is nothing but protection, but that's a whole nother story. I'm past reforms, y'all. I'm past the Doug and the Pony show, because when they murder our loved ones, they want to come back with paper. Paper's not good enough. If it's paper, rather it's these laws and this foolishness that's really not protecting us, because they still murdering us, let's be clear. But they want to come back with money. Money cannot bring our loved ones back. All the money in the world cannot bring our loved ones back. We can't pay all the money in the world to get our loved ones to breathe again. All the money in the world don't matter. It's not about the income, it's about the outcome. And we're making sure that these killer cops belong in cell blocks. I know I went on, I gave you a lot, but I feel good because I released that. And I know that when Sunday comes, I'm not going to be able to be in that space and get all that stuff out. But I will say this, and I want you guys to hear me clearly, share the video, because I know the killer cops are watching me. They watch my page every week. They even sent Chapman to come spy on us at Greenmount Avenue. They done sent Ruiz. I done got pulled over numerous times, even by them. Yes, by them. They done stalked my family, pulled my family over. At the end of the video, you'll see a close-up of Ruiz holding his cell phone. Yeah, one of my families that he was stalking took that beautiful picture of his ugly self. And when I say ugly, when you kill somebody and you have no remorse, you are an ugly individual. Ugly. Purdy ugly. That's what I mean. Evil. Evil ugly. That's a different thing. Like, it's one thing to be ugly and like not attractive. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about evil ugly. That's worse than anything. Evil ugly? Oh no. That's like, you can't even look me in my eyes. You can't even look evil ugly. Each and every last one of those maniacs are evil ugly. That's a big difference. Evil ugly. Your eyes can't even take looking at them. They are soulless. They are heartless. And the true reality is, they are still out there, y'all, waiting to harm you and your babies, you and your family members. Don't wait till you get that call stating that one of those 17 maniacs were a part of your child's or loved ones getting beat up or hurt, I wouldn't wish this pain on anyone. But until we do something, until we demand that they reopen every last case, nothing's gonna happen. Like my sister says, every case matters. Until we make every case matters, and to me, that is equivalent to reopening the cases. Reopen every last case that shouldn't have been closed. And I'm gonna stop at this last note. This morning while I was driving to work, I turned on the radio. I'm like, let me just hear something. Normally I just listen to my Pandora and rock it out to go to work. Sometimes I just listen to silence and then go to work, because I'm trying to get my mind ready to see my babies. But long story short, I listened this morning and I hear, and I'm so mad that I didn't write it down, because I'm like, by the time I get to work, I'm gonna go write it down, but I didn't write it down. It was a rapper. It was a rapper. I never heard of this rapper before, but they were talking about it on 92Q. Long story short, they said the rapper was getting released from jail and was shot 64 times. Not shot at. They said, so if he got hit 64 times, right? That had to have been more than 100 plus shots shooting at him. And this didn't happen once he got home, once he got on the block, this happened as he entered outside of the correction facility. And he had an elderly family member come pick him up, and even the elderly family member was injured. Wasn't killed, but was injured by a gunshot. But they said police was standing right there. That's the part I laughed about. And it ain't even funny. When he was like, they were so shocked. They was like, oh my God, we can't believe the police was right there. I mean, in my mind, the police did that. They probably are the ones who did that. They said the police, we can't believe the police was right there and he got shot 64. Yeah, I can believe it. Because nothing that they do to me and nothing that I see or know that they do is unbelievable. The sky is the limit for them. And something else popped up in my time frame, and I swear I'm going to pass it over next. God forgive me for swearing. But I had posted, and I'm trying to find it again, but it was a case, and the guy named, but it was the longest standoff ever, and it was right in the county. And they said it was a 74-hour standoff. It might have been 74 or 94 hours, but it was a long, several-day standoff. And I think the guy last name was Lewinsky, but his last name was Lewinsky. But they said this was the longest, and I remember seeing this on a Lifetime movie, y'all, and even on my investigation Discovery Channel that only plays true live stories. Sometimes they get, the characters or whatever, but the stories are based upon true stories. But it took them 72 hours longer to actually go in there and get the killer. Like, he had already raped, he had already killed about 6 people, raped his girlfriend, killed about 6 or 7 people, including officers. And because of his skin color, the connection is the complexion. They had a 72-hour standoff. So I don't ever want to hear no foolishness when they go in our men and sisters and brothers and husbands and family members and loved ones' house and say, oh, they had a knife. Oh, they had a baby bottle in their hand. Oh, they had this. But yet you can stand up. But yet, like I said in that post, they went in Corinne Gaines' house and murdered her. They didn't even give her a long standoff. That was horrible. They wouldn't even let her mom, who kept saying, let me talk to my baby. I want to calm this scene down. My sister kept begging them, let me talk to my daughter. And she heard the killer cop out of his own mouth say, you know what, I'm tired of this. Enough is enough. I'm tired. I'm done. And they executed her. And not only did they execute her, they tried to execute her baby son. Thank God he survived. And then they had the nerve to lie and say, when they first got reported on the news, because the news always lie. That's why I despise the news. I ain't even gonna lie. Especially if you're not reporting accurate information and you're just running these narratives to get these killer cops off. You're just as guilty as the medical examiner's office, as the other folks that does all the corruption. But they actually had the nerve to say, oh, well, we don't know what bullet hit her So we don't know if it was a Corinne Gaines bullet or the cop's bullet. They knew, because guess what? They knew damn well Corinne Gaines' gun was never fired. She didn't even fire her gun, y'all. And they lied and said that she might have hit her own baby. Like, are you freaking kidding me? How low? The crazy part, you know why they lie? Because they can lie on the dead. That's why we have to be our loved ones' voice. We have to take the narrative back. We have to, it is our duty to fight. Like Assata Shakur said, it's our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Mic check.
Mic check.
The floor is open.
Mic check. Sorry about that. My computer was acting slow. We have quite a few comments. So I will start with Facebook. So earlier, Gretchen posted the link to the events on Sunday. The event with Shorty's Barbecue. Angela says, sending prayers to your family, Tawanda. Hillary says, accountability for Tyrone West and your whole family. Accountability for all families hurt by police brutality. Bill says, what a shame leaving this world before winning and seeing accountability. That's unfortunately true for Tawanda's grandmother, cousin, and uncle. Let's fight hard so everyone else in the family and all anti-racists in Baltimore can hopefully see accountability. Gretchen says, you and your family deserve far more justice and accountability than this system is designed to give. Nelson Ellis sends a fist, a heart, and a prayer emoji. Gretchen, referring to the situation discussed, says, yes, Joe Palsinski in 2004. It was a 4-day standoff.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
And on YouTube, AC Britt says, love to your entire family, Tawanda. Hashtag justice for Tyrone West. Can people not, that's something. 6 foot 8 inches tall and 320 pounds, I guess referring to one of the cops. Derek Beasley was the other huge guy. Ruiz isn't a little guy either. Unfortunately, there are too many names to have to know and remember. Sad and infuriating. Smiley says, that's a fact. Everybody who has the power said they heard of Tyrone West, yet no accountability. AC says obstruction of justice is rampant and evident being suppressed. She says Detective Luis Delgado is corrupt. The state's attorney office is complicit in the cover-up. They are accomplices. And says, I'm trying to see who this is in reference to, but she says, yes, she's been at it 29 years. It should never take 30 years to get accountability. That's a travesty in this country. That was Smiley. AC Britt says, these killer cops were escalating in their behavior. Yes, in Chicago, referring to Chicago mobilizing the police officers. AC Britt says, Laundry Sylvester, justice for Timothy Fleming, and say her name, Corinne Gaines. Mic check.
Mic check.
Also to, oh, sorry. Also to mention.
Thank you, Marcellus. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tawanda. Yes. AC Britt brought it up, referring to Dorothy Elliott for Archie Elliott, 29 years in the fight. Our challenge discussion is actually going to be about Archie Elliott tonight. We're going to be discussing the coalition for Archie Elliott, and the title of that challenge. The title of that challenge is "No Justice in a Racist System," and this is happening in our own backyard here in Maryland. referring to Archie Elliott, who was murdered by the police while handcuffed in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, Prince George's County, Maryland. So if you're interested, stay tuned. The challenge discussion will begin at 9.
Whoops, sorry, I thought I was unmuted. Not long ago in May, President Biden met with the family of George Floyd. And after the meeting, Biden said, quote, "We need to build lasting trust between the vast majority of the men and women who wear the badge honorably and the communities they are sworn to serve and protect." In other words, Biden said the vast majority of cops are honorable and we need to trust them. But we know that racism is systemic. What does that actually mean? Think about it. If police were really here to protect and serve, the police cars and helicopters would be everywhere equally. Why are they concentrated in working class neighborhoods, especially neighborhoods in which the residents are predominantly Black and Latinx? It has to do with power and control. High up in the scale of power are the owners of factories and businesses. Above them are the large banks. For example, when Intel wants to build a new factory to make computer chips, the cost is about $10 billion. Businesses like Intel usually don't have $10 billion. They have to borrow it from the biggest banks. Therefore, the owners and directors of the biggest banks really run things. They call the shot. They know that systemic racism allows business owners to pay Black and Latinx workers less than white workers. That's how businesses make about a third of their profits. All workers are exploited, but paying lower wages to workers of color is known as super exploitation. On top of that, capitalists use systemic racism to divide the working class, weakening our unity. The billionaires want white workers to refuse to unite with Black workers. This disunity keeps us from fighting successfully against our common enemy, the capitalists. The combination of divide and conquer, together with super exploitation, probably accounts for a full half of the profits that businesses make. In other words, a huge chunk of their profits come from racism. The big banks know this. They have their think tanks that make policy. No matter who is mayor or governor or president, the big bankers control the economy and the government. That means they have ultimate control over the role of the cops, the courts, the state's attorneys, and the attorney general. Remember, after Freddie Gray was killed and large numbers of people decided to fight back, the rulers brought in every local police force plus the National Guard and concentrated those forces to protect what's important to them: major businesses, Hopkins, the Central Police Station, and City Hall. At the same time, the National Guard and the police forces attacked and locked up hundreds of people who didn't hurt anyone, but who did challenge this system. When you get to the heart of the matter, we live under a dictatorship of the capitalist class. No matter who gets elected, the capitalists call the shots. Yes, Chauvin may spend years in jail where he belongs for killing George Floyd, but only 7 cops in the whole United States have been convicted for murder since 2005. The cops kill about 1,100 people a year. If you do the math, that means just one single cop will get convicted for every 2,500 people they murder. This is systemic racism. It serves the capitalist class. They want us fearful so they can control us, make us passive, and continue to make their profits off our backs. Think about the onlookers who felt horrible while watching Chauvin steal the life of George Floyd. Why didn't they rush in and pull Chauvin off the neck of George Floyd? The young woman, Darnella Frazier, who videotaped the horrific murder, wakes up at night thinking about this and feels awful that she couldn't do more. In the middle of the night, all by herself, she apologizes to George Floyd. The onlookers didn't rush in to drag Chauvin off George Floyd's neck because they knew they would most likely be brutalized, arrested, and incarcerated, if not killed. That's capitalist power. It has to go, and systemic racism has got to go along with it. Progressive Labor Party has a vision of the future, something worth fighting for. There is a broad range of political thought within the West Coalition, and we respect one another. But speaking for the viewpoint of Progressive Labor Party, the future we need is communism. That means sharing all the wealth that the working class produces. We will defeat systemic racism. We will build a new world of sisterhood and brotherhood. We We will abolish the wage system, no more buying and selling of human labor power. We must not forget, capitalism and racism arose together historically. They cannot be separated. To defeat racism, we must defeat capitalism, and to defeat capitalism, we must defeat racism. Biden won't do this. Marilyn Mosby and Brian Frosh won't do this. Brandon Scott won't do this. On the national level, there have been 30 presidents since the end of slavery. And during that whole century and a half, they have not defeated modern racism. Politicians won't and can't end racism. We must be the ones. We must be the ones to fight for a future without systemic racism. We can do it. Dare to struggle, dare to win. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Awesome. So thanks for sharing that, Uncle Bill. And also now we're moving forward. Marcellus, do you have the sad list?
Yes, I do have the sad list. The sad list of individuals killed in Baltimore. I will be reading the list and the names and ages, and if everybody participating can please lift them up. There are 8 on the list today, so I'll get started. Darnell Jones, age 35.
Darnell Jones.
35.
Troy Rush, 19.
Troy Rush, 19.
Damari Hall, 19.
Jamari Hall, 19.
Keith Hughes, Jr., 37.
Keith Hughes, Jr., 37.
Anthony Henry, 32.
Anthony Henry, 32.
Devin Davis, 32.
Devin Davis, 32.
Enrico Jones, 27.
Enrico Jones, 27.
And Lawrence Mack, 44.
Lawrence Mack, 44.
And just lift their names up and keep their families in your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that horrible list. And remember that nobody's name should be on a sad list, and that's just terrible. So me as a praying woman, I'm praying for the family, lifting them up. And could we just take a moment, 1 minute to honor the families? Just 1 moment of silence, a minute of silence, please. Thank you so much. And Uncle Bill, do you have that sad police brutality list?
Yes, unfortunately, we have that list. So the names I'm going to read are people that were killed by the police, whose lives were stolen in the recent period, starting July 1st, and I'll be naming 18 people, some of whom have not been identified yet in the press, but 18 people been killed by the police since July 1st, going up to around July 10th. First, if you can uphold the person's name and repeat after me, 54-year-old woman from Kingsport, Tennessee, Lisa Short.
Lisa Short.
Number 2, also on July 3rd, in Salemburg, North Carolina, 49 years old, Craig Locklear.
Craig Locklear.
Yeah.
Thank you. On July the 4th, 40 years old, from Tampa, Florida, John Turbay.
John Turbay.
32 years old, from Olivia, Minnesota, Ricardo Torres. In Newton, New Jersey, on July the 4th, an unidentified person, I'm sorry that we cannot uphold this person's name. Also on July the 4th, in Ravenna Township, Ohio, 36 years old, Matthew Morse. If anyone's joining us at this moment, I'm reading the names of people whose lives were stolen by police in the first week of July. In Carterville, Illinois, 52 years old, Joseph McGrath. Killed by police in Paso Robles, California, 32 years old, Stephen Calderon. Killed on July the 6th in Houston, Texas. This person has not yet been identified, and I apologize to the family that we can't uphold his name today. The same is true on July the 6th in Danville, Kentucky. Another man killed by police whose name we cannot uphold because he has not yet been identified in the press. And a third person not yet identified in the press from Tesuque, New Mexico on July the 7th. On July the 7th, also in Medford, Oregon, 34 years old, Jerry Gunter. In New York, that is to say New York City, on July the 8th, a man was killed by police, has not yet been identified. Again, I apologize that we can't honor him today. And the same is true in Phoenix, Arizona, on July the 8th, 64 years old, a man with a toy weapon. He has not yet been identified. Next, on July the 8th again, in Presque Isle, Maine, 53 years old, Shannon Wilcox. And we have three more people to honor tonight. In Salem, Oregon, on July the 9th, 22 years old, Arcadia Castillo. On July the 9th, in Chicago, Illinois, 34 years old, Clevante White. And on July the 10th, in Bennington Township, Michigan, this is the last person we'll be honoring tonight whose life was stolen by the police, 37 years old, Randy Jenkins. Unfortunately, there are names to read every week. It's a horrendous aspect of the system in which we live. Mic check.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that this is really sad, and why we're not hearing these names like on the news and stuff like that. It's strategically done, and it's just horrible. Like their list just increased every week, and it's just terrible. And then they selectively don't want to name names. So I shade to all the ones that they have as the Jane Does or the John Does. It's just horrible. They know exactly what they're doing. Let's be perfect. Ashe. And another thing that I like to add is, as you notice that when Uncle Bill reads about the bloody murders of the executions of these people, right? It never says anything like how they died or whatever, but they're so quick to say when it's a victim name and they may have like a toy weapon or something like that, they want to say that. Like, I don't even like that. That's disturbing because to me, that's almost as if saying, oh, we got this lottery ticket. This is how we're going to get off. Because he had a weapon. We thought it was a gun, so he had a toy gun. That's why I don't even like to even say toy gun, but because it's like, why isn't it saying anything else? But then the only thing in term, you see something. And then the crazy part, each and every last one of these things, they never even said they had a weapon, but then they want to always sound like they had a toy weapon. Or if they had a knife, they had a knife fight. That's disturbing to me. So that's all I wanted to add. So it's just sad, but that list grows every week. And it's just sad. And the homicides in our city is growing every week. And it's just really sad. And I got the news that Ceasefire, they're doing all type of peaceful visuals and things like that on Monday, starting at 8 p.m. They wanted to do it like around the city and things like that. So we're planning, probably should be somewhere, hopefully, and we'll keep you guys informed about that. But it's just sad, like, no matter how many peaceful visuals, no matter how many peaceful marches, no matter how many times families get up there and testify and say my loved one was murdered, no matter what part of the cities we go at to testify and stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters of the movement that we never even asked to be in a horrible thing like this. I'd have rather had any of us, and when I speak for myself, I'm speaking for all of us would rather have our loved one than to participate in something we never asked to be a part of. And it's just sad, but I'm just saying, at what point are we going to see true accountability? I'm just over it. Like, I'm not over the fight, but I'm just over the people playing these games, like, and they've been doing this forever. It's like, when are we going to actually get them kicked out of office, fired, hold them accountable, hold the fire under their feet? Like, real talk, like, get, like, chase them out of office. Like, do something, because at the end of the day, our loved ones went to an early grave. This wasn't an act of God. They wasn't sick. They were minding their own business. Then something happened, and they were snatched immediately. And don't think that you can't get snatched. Nobody's to the point that it cannot happen to them. It's something unfortunate, and it's crazy, because I never thought in a billion years that this would ever happen to my family. And I remember the time when God gave me a dream that this happened, and he gave me a dream that it happened to my own brother. And I was able to tell him about this dream a year before it even happened. I didn't know how, but it was just late breaking news that the police killed my brother. And it was just horrible, but it's just sad. Like, I'm just waiting for accountability, and I'm not going nowhere until we get it. And then to say it, I can't even say I ain't going nowhere, because they can kill me today or tomorrow, and I won't see it. One of my family members are going to see it. Like, when are we really going to see accountability? That's the question. Like, we shouldn't even be able to get no sleep at night until we find out a real way, because the ways we're trying with them, they doing little bits, baby steps, but they're taking multiple steps at killing us, giant steps. But yet they're giving a little baby steps trying to fix this problem, and it can be fixed. Hold people accountable. That's the biggest thing right there. If you're not holding anybody accountable, it's going to keep on happening. Why is it, all these unsolved homicides in our cities going on? Why do we hear about certain murderers and certain murderers we don't hear about? That's strategically done. And they're going to keep doing it until we, as people, stand up and say enough is enough. We got to put it all on the line, because guess what? It is on the line. It takes a blink of an eye, a second. You can't even bat your eye. And it could be your loved one. It could be you. Is that when you're going to get involved to do something to claim? I wish I was on your side where it didn't happen to my loved one, and I could just help push and for better change. And I wish, like I told everybody, when we started West Lansing, I said, oh my God, what if me and my brother, while he was still living, would have rolled past and seen protesters peacefully standing at a demonstration? I used to be intrigued by things like that. Like, I would have stopped. I would have came just like, what are y'all talking about? And then I could have got, hip to the game of this dirty system. Because I never thought, I thought it was like, had some little, it was broken. I was one of them like, it was broken. But guess what? It never was fixed. Something broken means that at one point it was operating or functioning right. This damn system was never functioning right. But I was one of the type of people, before it happened to me, before I saw the reality of what it is, I was one of the type, well, maybe, you got some things to fix. And then I truly thought that if you had witnesses that could say, like, my brother didn't get murdered in a dark alleyway, ain't nobody see it, they could just cover it up. He was beat to death. Literally, it was 32 or more witnesses, but they only took a dozen statements. But even if they would only took one statement, to have one eyewitness, because all it takes is one eyewitness to say, you know what, I saw so-and-so doing this, and then they put you away. Why is it when killer cops do it, you don't get that same treatment? It ain't no justice, it's just us. I keep telling y'all over and over again, and what they're doing with this dirty, corrupt system is they're playing us against each other. They're making it seem like street violence is over here, police brutality is over here, homelessness is over here, the lack of jobs, all this, it's all together, baby. I call it the highway of hell.
That's right.
Certain blocks that you go down to get to the highway, if you want to all go to 95 or 395, whatever. Y'all know I don't ride highways, so I can't quote acronyms. I think 295 is a highway. But that's like all of us trying to go to a highway. We can take different streets to get there. But at some point, we're going to meet up. We want to go on the highway, have that highways first. We're going to meet up to the highway. Sometimes, like literally, last weekend, I was freaking out because as much as I tried to avoid the highway, I was on Russell Street Bridge and I took the wrong turn and I wound up on the highway. Like, oh my God, like riding, like, oh my God, I had to get it together.
It's 8 o'clock.
But I said all that to say, no matter what street you take, this is the highway of hell. Until we fix it, do not let them play us against each other. Do not let them play the black on black. I never say that. Because we know all races kill. You know, and then there's a lot of serial killers in the Caucasian race. I'm just going to say it. I love you guys. We love each other. But there's a lot of Caucasian serial killers. They're just like, I want to go postal. I'm going to do this. Even though anybody of any race could do that. I'm not saying that nobody can. Because it's just your mind frame. But I said all that to say they always threw us in a box. It's time that we remove ourselves out of the box. And it's time that we put all these issues that affect us. Because guess what? We ain't getting no sleep at night. You worrying about if you're riding down the street. You worrying about if, you know, a killer cop gonna pull you over. You don't know if somebody carjacked you, gonna try to pull you over. It's too much. But it's certain people that's worried about it. There's certain people that get great sleep at night that ain't even in their neighborhood. That ain't even their experience. It every now and then happens. But most of the time, some of them can feel like they can sleep so comfy with their doors unlocked. When can we have that type of peace? No matter if we do move in a nice neighborhood, when can we have that type of peace that surpasses all understanding? That we can just wake up and say, you know what? I don't have to worry about my babies getting discriminated against. And, you know, if they get pulled over, it's going to be fine. We don't know that. A traffic stop, and I'll say this again, a traffic stop, a phone call to 911 for help. And half the time, some of the folks that call 911 for help, they wind up getting killed. Just like shout out to my brother Shorty. He had a situation go on with his grill. He kept posting it, talking about, he got his grill back, but he did it the right way. He did it the right way. And I believe that the videos that he kept posting, I'm going to go get my grill, this guy got my grill hostage type of thing, and he tagged us on to all of it, like praying where you at. He got his grill back. He got his grill back. But I said, let's just say, why we have to do that? If he was a white, let's picture Shorty being white, he wouldn't even went through nobody taking his girl. Well, if he would have went, if somebody would have took his girl, the person that took his girl would have been arrested on the spot, and it would have been the end of that. Why did he have to go through all that? Why did he have to get labeled as a terrorist before? All because he was doing art and activism with the toilet. And they knew it was the toilet, but yet, and I remember when I heard that name, I'm not lying. When I heard that name, when I heard about what happened at the Towson Courthouse when he was doing his activism, I didn't know who Shorty was. This was the old Tawana Jones when Tyrone West was living. And I heard that name, Dwayne Davis, and they're like, you know, it's a standoff and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, oh my God. First of all, I thought the name, which you can't judge and say, oh, person black or white by the name, but I'm thinking when they say had a bomb, I thought Shorty was white. I'm not even going to lie. I'm like, damn, it's a white man. I'm calling people, like they never showed it, but I'm thinking it's a white man, you know, outside going crazy with a bomb. And the whole time, I never would have knew that I would have connected and met Shorty. Like, this is crazy. Like, literally when I heard about Anthony Anderson, because that struck a bell, because I am the Anderson family. My family are Anderson. And I got an uncle named Anthony who you guys met several times. So when I heard Anthony Anderson killed by the police, I was like, oh my God, is Unc okay? And they like, no, it was a young dude. I'm like, oh, all right. And I'm like, that's sad. But then when I heard about it and the way the media played it, downplayed it, they said that Anthony Anderson swallowed drugs. They said, you know, he got in a tussle with the police and they think he, you know, swallowed some drugs and he passed away. And I'm in my mind like, oh my God, I'm praying for that young guy. Like, and I'm in my mind because that type of hot neighborhood, this is how I used to think would happen to me. I mean, that's a hot neighborhood. Maybe he was in fear of going to jail. He took some drugs and probably just swallowed it and choked off of it. That's what I thought. And I still wanted like his brother, but I never knew until I got to meet the Anthony Anderson family that they tossed him on his head like a basketball, killed that man in front of his mother. That ain't the part. The news didn't show me that part. That part was not shown by the news or anything.
That's right.
I said all that to say, be careful of these lies from the Town Light Vision. They give us a vision of what they want to see. And even though that guy, the Rue, he wanted to be mayor and wanted to run the city, and Fox 45 wanted him, and we didn't, and he didn't get voted in, they still give this man a voice every day on the news. Why is that? Why? Why every day he get to talk about everything in the city was happening? Why can't they go to somebody like Shorty and have him on the news? I'd rather see Shorty any day. I'd rather see somebody like JC talking on the news every day. Somebody like Payune talking on the news every day, talk about things that are going on in the city. Somebody like my brother Boone talking on the news every day. One of the West Coalition members talking about it. I'd rather see my beautiful sister Erica from Ceasefire talking on the news every single day. But they know who to let talk and push their narrative. We need to come away from all that stuff and pull together. And I hope that we can pull together this Sunday, guys. This Sunday, 2 events. We have Runners for Justice and our brother Shorty. They're doing the art for activism. And pretty much they got some artwork of my brothers. That's going to be there. And that's starting. Shorty is feeding everybody. And anybody that takes Shorty food, oh, you don't want to miss. I'm telling you, his food is, oh my goodness. I'm getting hungry thinking of it. But he's feeding everybody for free. They're not charged. This is a free event. They're going to have tables up. Come out and join. And also a shout out to Runners for Justice that Thursday morning. And we can send prayers out for them or shout out for them or whoever want to join them. They're actually doing 8 miles, y'all. 8 miles for my brother. I couldn't even do a mile. I'd be ready to pass out. They doing 8 miles. Even the ones that don't want to run the walk. I can't even walk no 8 miles. I ain't even gonna lie, and I passed out. So I'm giving y'all a shout out, a big virtual hug. I love you guys. Thank you so much for every year that my brother, you know, laid in his, and I can't even say he's resting because he hasn't got accountability. I can't even say that my brother is resting in peace because he couldn't even have peace on earth. When he did have peace, his peace was interrupted, and he was murdered. So he couldn't even have peace on earth. So you expect me to believe that my brother is resting in a grave away from his family, that he died in such a horrific way and we don't have accountability? My brother is not going to rest until we get accountability. He's not. So but for every year that he was murdered, or that he not every year that he was murdered, but for every year that he laying in his grave, they are running. So a big shout out, Gretchen. I love you. You know, you're my sister for life. Shout out. I wish I had your energy. I wish I could join y'all. I've been passed out. Y'all be able to get me better treatment. Then the medical family's off the line on me talking about I had heart disease, all type of stuff. They even said I had too many cheesesteaks. They making them and I don't got no health issues. Just had a doctor's visit, healthy. But let me go die. I drop out dead tonight. They gonna say, oh, she had all type of stuff. They gonna make up stuff. So I said all that to say, I love you guys. Live to love to live. And do we have any more announcements? And I'm going to check up with Martha. Do we have any more comments before we close out?
Yes, we have a couple more comments on YouTube and Facebook. So Gretchen again said Runners for Justice is doing an 8-mile run, which you already spoke to. Clarification on the name. Andre Sylvester. He was a rapper in Chicago. He was released from jail, and right outside the prison, his sister and another family member was picking him up, and he was shot 64 times. And the police were there and didn't intervene. His sister and another family member were also shot. You know, and the police it was right outside the police station. The police were there and did nothing. You know, just watched it. Angela says, killer cops belong in cell blocks. AC Britt says, amen, sister. Angela says, bloody cops. And see y'all soon. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
And thank you, Marcella, for always being dedicated, and thank you, you know, for making West Lansing Line be like so like amazing. Because those comments that I normally would have to respond to after is being addressed now. So I wanted to give you a special shout out and thanks for clearing that name up. And I'm praying for Sylvester's family. That is heartbreaking. I couldn't imagine nothing like that. I couldn't imagine going to go get my brother from jail and being happy, like, oh my God, we can break over. Because that's a happy moment. That's just like, you know, we're trying to get Keith Davis Jr. out. He don't even belong in jail. Like, and then something horrific like that happened, and then the police are standing right there, like standing right there. And I guarantee you they didn't catch the gunman or gunsman, because that's a lot of bullets. So that is so horrible, and my heart goes out. Like I said, I could not remember the name, but thanks for clearing it up, and thanks also Gretchen or whoever that was that gave the name of that 4-day standoff. Like I said, I'm horrible with names, but guess what? I remember lots of things. The name thing might be a little off, but what happened, the event, that's never off. That's never off. I never ever told you guys a lie, and I never will. We've been saying the same thing from day one when Tyrone West was executed, that we're not going to stop until killer cops are in cell blocks, that it was one unarmed man. And my cousin Tavon Anderson, he started that thing. When we be all going out, and we used to always chat, we'd say one man. So in about 2 seconds, I want us to close on. I want everybody, when I say one man, say one man. That's how my cousin Tavon, we'd be out there protesting, and he'd be like, one man, and we'd be like, one man. So if we could do that 3 times for me, I'm closing out for my cousin Tavon Anderson. I feel his spirit right here with me. One man.
One man.
One man.
One man.
One man.
One man.
Thank you guys so much.
Tawanda, one more announcement, okay?
Sure.
In addition to the Runners for Justice Saturday morning and the Art and Activism Sunday during the day and the memorial for Tyrone Sunday evening at 7, there's one other event, which is on August the 28th. We'll be marching on Washington, demanding that all the cases of police murder be reopened. And I encourage everyone who's listening to plan on joining us to go to Washington that day. Mic check.
Mic check.
Thanks, Uncle Bill, for reminding us. Yes, we'll be in DC, demanding accountability. And I know a lot of families wanted to go and like disrupt things, you know, and that's how we should. We shut them down, hit them in their daggone pockets. But wherever the movement calls me, I'm there. And I feel like even though, yeah, it is on a Saturday, but guess what? It's going to be televised. It's going to be televised. And our points and our demands are going to be clear. We're not going to stop until killer cops are in cell blocks. So, with that being said, I love you guys. Live to love, love to live. And if you want to join us for the challenge discussion, anybody, because I'm going to be joining them at 9 o'clock, please hit me up personally, and I will actually send you guys the link so that way that you can get involved in it. Or Uncle Bill can send it to you. So, we can't stop. We won't stop till killer cops are in cell blocks. Check out part 2 of the video. And remember, the message is real. And it said that 2 of my loved ones that are in this video, are no longer here. You will see at the end of this video, which breaks my heart, my Uncle Clifton Anderson. He's rubbing my Aunt Diane back. He's the one, he's always wears nice brim hats. He would always be like, I call him Uncle Slick. You know, it was Uncle, we call him Uncle Dynamite, but I call him my Uncle Slick because he always wore his nice suits and his nice caps to match. So he's in the video and he's rubbing my Aunt Diane back. And my cousin Tavon was somewhere in the room, but you can't really see him, but he was somewhere. He never liked cameras, so he'd always be in support. But again, live to love, love to live. Love you all. We will see you this Sunday. We will also see you, on Monday if you come out for the peace baby. Once we get everything illustrated and orchestrated. So thank you guys. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
And Mr. West begging for his life, and Mr. Salam begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped.
Case number 5, unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016.
I suggest you back the fuck up. No, why you
Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges like it exploded.
Thomas McCullough says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and them large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby see the prosecution of Bernardez Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the Salam vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon them.
And the officer Ruiz that started this attack is still working with promotions. He is now sergeant. But the fact that this repeat violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, Abdul Salam, and my sister Adina and her family. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.